Hi, welcome back to Intro to Biology for Majors, or BIOL 1224. This is your Chapter 44 PowerPoint from the fifth and final module of this course. This is from Openstax book Biology 2E, Chapter 44, Ecology and the Biosphere. So we have three objectives for this PowerPoint. The first is to define the study of ecology and some areas of focus within the field. The second is to recognize the role of biotic and abiotic factors in biogeography. And the third is to define primary productivity in ecosystems. So let's start off by talking about ecology. So ecology is the study of the interaction of living things with their environment. So ecologists work across 4 different levels of biological organization to look at ecology as a whole. They start with the organism, and then they go to populations, communities, and the ecosystem. So in this image here, I broke that down, and I have an organism here on the left, a population of those organisms here, a community of multiple types of organisms together here, and then an ecosystem, which would mean the animals, the plants, everything going on around them. And then the biosphere is the entire planet. So over here, we kind of have a breakdown. So ecologists will ask how individual organisms interact with their environments, how populations change over time, and how populations interact with other species in their communities. So individual organisms go together to form populations. A variety of populations go together to form communities, and communities and the physical environment of that area go together to form the entire ecosystem. So now let's talk about biotic versus abiotic. So these are 2 different terms, and we know that the segment of biotic, that's bio, represents the word life. So we can assume that biotic factors are living, which would mean the abiotic factors are not. So here it says the ecosystem is composed of all the biotic, which are living components, organisms in an area, along with the abiotic or non-living components of that area. So that's what the ecosystem is, which we spoke about in the last slide. It's the living and the non-living factors in that area. So some of the abiotic components, which would be non-living, include air, water, and soil. I also have a breakdown on this image here on the right. So we have abiotic features include air, salinity, soil, temperature, light, water, minerals, pH, and humidity. So those are all non-living factors within an ecosystem. And then biotic factors include fungi, plants, protists, animals, archaea, and bacteria. So we've spoken about all of these in the past slides, previous slideshows. So yeah, these would be the living things within the ecosystem. So energy sources, temperature, water, inorganic nutrients, and soil are factors limiting the distribution of living things in terrestrial systems, which means systems that are on land. So the energy sources, the temperature of that environment, the water sources, the inorganic nutrients present, and all of the soil limit the distribution of living things. So limit where living things are located on land. And then it says net primary productivity is a measure of the amount of biomass produced by a biome. So in my notes, I have written abiotic factors are not living. In this example, we have humidity, soil, sunlight, and precipitation or rain, which are all abiotic. So because we previously spoke about limiting factors that limit the organisms from distributing across the terrestrial or the land, we want to talk about biogeography. So the study of the geographic distribution of living things and the abiotic factors that affect their distribution, that is what biogeography is. So endemic species are species that are naturally found only in a specific geographic area. So basically, if you want to think of an endemic species like the kangaroo, it's located in Australia. So it's endemic to that area. So here we have it, the distribution of living things is influenced by several environmental factors, which we spoke about in the last slide, controlled by the latitude or the elevation at which an organism is found. The ocean causes upwelling, and spring and fall turnovers are important processes that all regulate the distribution of nutrients and other abiotic or non-living factors important to the aquatic ecosystems. So when we're talking about terrestrial, we mean land. Aquatic, we would mean oceans, lakes, rivers. So once again, in the ocean upswelling and spring and fall turnovers that happen often in ponds and lakes are both important processes regulating nutrients and factors that affect fish and underwater life within aquatic ecosystems. So speaking of aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems, here are some examples of aquatic ecosystems. We say freshwater and marine. So freshwater would mean freshwater ponds, rivers, lakes, and marine would mean the ocean. Terrestrial though, so on land, we have many different types of terrestrial biomes. Some are the tropical wet forest, savanna, subtropical deserts, we call a chaparral, temperate grasslands, temperate forests, and Arctic tundra. And I'm going to have some images to show all of these on the next couple of slides. So here we have a bunch of our terrestrial biomes that we listed previously. So top left, we have that tropical wet forest, so what we would consider maybe a rainforest. We have temperate grassland, which is more of a prairie land, which we do have here in Oklahoma. We're one of the very few states that does. We call it chaparral. This is where two different areas meet. So we're calling that a chaparral. That's a terrestrial environment. The savanna, so African savanna. The desert, temperate forest, which is more like what we have around here. We would have temperate grassland and temperate forest, and Arctic tundra. These are a lot of our terrestrial biomes. In case anyone's curious about where those terrestrial biomes are that we've talked about, at least in North America, Canada, and South America, this map will kind of help you look. If you want to see what's, mostly around our state, we have the Great Plains, as well as some like forested areas over here. So now let's talk about aquatic biomes. So abiotic factors or non-living factors are important for structuring aquatic ecosystems. They can have different factors than terrestrial systems. Sunlight is a big driving force behind the structures of forests and bodies of water. And very deep water has mechanisms for sustaining living things without light. So organisms live in very dark and deep areas of the ocean without light because the water provides mechanisms for sustaining those organisms. Okay, so once again here showing you the difference just between marine and aquatic biomes. So marine biomes here on our left would be the ocean. Freshwater aquatic biome would be over here on our right. This is a river. You can also consider lakes, ponds, anything like that, a freshwater ecosystem. If the water has salt, we're going to call it marine. Okay, so here are some of our key takeaways. So ecology studies the way that living things interact with their environments. Areas of focus include organismal, population, community, and ecosystem, and know what those mean. Biotic or living and abiotic non-living factors both play a role in biogeography or where organisms are found. Biotic populations compete for resources, and abiotic factors of latitude and elevation do play a role in resource availability, so what's available in that environment. Primary productivity measures the amount of biomass produced by a biome and includes bacteria. So those are our key takeaways. If you have any questions, follow up with me, and if not, feel free to move on. Thank you.